Bathrooms.
How does this keep coming up?
This is nothing new, folks.
You've been sharing bathrooms with us since...
Always.
And you know what happens?
Ooh, scary.
Yet every year, some fool tries to trick people into thinking this is an issue.
And somehow thinks the way to protect privacy in bathrooms
Is by policing them?
The biggest irony is that their solution will create the very thing that they're trying to stop.
It would put me in the women's bathroom.
And me in the men's room? I mean, it might be fun for a minute.
And it means that I'll get shit no matter where I go to, you know.
All we want to do is pee.
By the way, do you know who actually gets harassed in bathrooms?
We do.
70% of trans people report a negative reaction for just trying to use the restroom.
54% have had health problems due to lack of access to a restroom.
Yeah, just holding it, it's not good for you.
And do you know how many incidents there have been in states and schools where trans people are allowed to use the right bathrooms?
By the way, fun fact.
More U.S. senators have been arrested for public misconduct in bathrooms than trans people.
But if you're still anxious, you should probably talk to a professional.
Because it's got nothing to do with us.
But here's a quick guide to deal with people who you might not think belong in the same restroom as you.
Don't worry about them.
That's it.
See, that's all it takes to maintain everyone's privacy.
Could we also just make more single occupancy, all gender restrooms?
That's helpful for me, parents, and anyone with disabilities.
Let's make bathrooms accessible and safe for everyone.
And now I really do have to pee.
Gender is not the same thing as sexual orientation.
Oh God, this nonsense.
We have got to talk about it.
Trans people can be gay.
Very, very gay. Very gay.
Straight.
I love my man.
Lesbian.
Why, yes, I did name my puppies Tegan and Sarah.
Everything between, both, or neither.
People are pretty creative in this area.
I'm asexual.
And I'm queer. Always was and always will be, child.
Here it is, really simply.
If you're a guy who only likes girls, and I'm one of those girls.
You're still straight.
But what about...
We're attracted to people, not parts.
So let's get over this nonsense that genitals equals gender.
Because it's more than silly.
It's dangerous.
And look, if it was really about parts... Then you straight guys would be hitting on this guy.
Hey.
Bottom line, get over it.
And hey, you.
Yes, you, my beautiful trans or gender non-conforming sibling.
You are not a monster.
No matter your body, shape, or size.
No matter if you pass or don't, if you don't want to or don't care.
No matter how your gender manifests.
You are worthy of love.
Just as you are.
If you're watching this, we're assuming you already know a little bit about trans issues.
Maybe you even care and want to help.
And we're thrilled.
But we're also guessing that you don't really know how. Or where to start.
Well, we're here to help.
So, let's get to it.
Now, a lot of you get confused about what to call us.
I'm a trans woman.
Because I'm a woman who happens to be trans.
Grammatically speaking, that makes trans an adjective, not a noun. There are no transgenders here.
Thanks, Professor.
And I'm a trans guy.
I'm simply a trans person.
I am not a drag queen.
Wow, it's almost like all trans people aren't the same.
What are your pronouns? She, her.
He, him, his.
They, them.
They, them, but that's...
They is a perfectly acceptable pronoun, and always has been.
Are pronouns really that big a deal?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Algo más?
Yeah, when in doubt, just ask.
But nicely.
Being a teen can suck.
You are not wrong.
It's even harder if you're not a girly girl.
Or a jock.
Or pretty much anything that anyone else considers weird.
And puberty?
So imagine knowing you're a boy when everyone else tells you that you're a girl.
Or knowing you're neither.
Or a bit of both. 90% of trans students were harassed because of their sexual orientation or expression in school.
A third of them report hearing negative remarks from school staff.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
Often, All it takes to stop a bully is one person standing up.
Sometimes, all it takes to save a life is a little bit of kindness.
We're not just trying to make school a safe place for trans kids.
But for all kids.
Because we all have gender.
Or do we?
Gender fluid, gender queer, gender non-conforming.
And it's not just trans people that are targeted for it.
Not to mention, some boys wear dresses. And plenty of girls like action figures.
Kids don't have hang-up about gender the way adults do.
School should be a place to learn, grow, change, and even experiment.
And here's a radical idea that could change everything.
Listen to young people.
They usually know exactly who they are and what they need.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of...
amazing?
Yeah, amazing.
Ask yourself.
Would your workplace feel safe for a trans person?
Does anyone tell Dan in accounting that his trans jokes aren't funny?
Would you be willing to hire or mentor a trans person?
If you really want to make a difference, you have to start with the most vulnerable of us.
What about black trans girls?
Or the non-binary person.
The ones who can't or don't want to pass.
And it's not just a hiring issue.
You may very well have trans people already in your office.
We see you.
What about benefits?
Ask your employer if your insurance covers trans healthcare.
Often, they're more likely to listen to you than to us.
And there are a lot more of you.
You have the power.
So what are you doing with it? Get it together, Dan.
Bottom line, trans and gender non-conforming people want to be treated like people.
We want to go to school.
Play sports.
Get a job.
Serve our country.
Get a better job.
Make art.
Date.
Practice our faith.
Fall in love.
Work for the human rights of all people.
Raise a family.
We're not asking for special rights.
We're asking for the same basic rights we're all promised.
Even if we're trans and black.
O si el inglés es nuestra segundo idioma.
If we have disabilities or different abilities.
Are immigrants.
Sex workers.
Or need a second chance.
Trans people are here.
That's not going to change.
But we need more than your acceptance.
We need your support.
Your vote. Your participation.
Your voice.
Your money. Your coin. Your ducats.
Your love.
We need you to hire us.
We need you to tell that comedian, that ain't funny.
We need you to tell anyone infringing on others' privacy.
Mind your own damn business.
We need you to be open about your relationships with us.
We can't do it all on our own.
And our colleagues.
Our friends.
Our partners.
Our families.
Wouldn't want us to try.
It's time for us all to get on board.
After all, if one of the greatest advances of our day is that gender shouldn't dictate what job you do,
how much you get paid,
who you can marry,
Shouldn't it mean that your genitals don't decide those things either?
Imagine not being able to watch television without seeing yourself being made fun of.
Or shown as a monster.
Or not shown at all.
or the best you can hope for is a sassy hooker helping out a cop on a crime show.
Imagine that's all you see for your entire life.
Media representation matters.
It is where most of you learn about us.
shows like Ellen, The L Word, Will and Grace.
Gave hope to young gays and lesbians.
And brought them into the living rooms of millions of people.
My grandmother loved Jack on Will and Grace.
It's why we need more trans characters in books, television, and movies.
All kinds of characters.
And can we play them?
It's not that cis people can't play trans roles.
But there are a lot of trans actors.
Good ones.
And we can bring something unique to the roles.
Like ourselves.
But who's telling the story also matters.
Word.
We need trans writers, producers, directors, editors.
We need the chance to tell our stories.
And girl, we have stories to tell. So give us those roles,
Those internships, those jobs,
those grants.
and we'll give you a richer world.
Actually, I have a script if anyone wants to take a look.
One of us might be the next global superstar.
And I'm ready for my close-up.
If you're a trans person who has sex,
Word.
Get tested often.
Trans women are 49 times more likely to contract HIV.
Being bullied in school, ousted from spiritual communities, and kicked out of home leads to all kinds of vulnerabilities.
All of that combined with the high cost of your transition often leads to sex work.
As does high demand for trans sex workers.
Which is related to the stigma of wanting or loving trans people.
Not to mention how all of this impacts mental health, which leads to increased addiction rates.
And girl, every one of these things are way, way worse for trans women.
Especially if they're poor.
And especially if they're women of color.
Black and Latino trans women occupy the most dangerous intersection in America.
That of classism, sexism, and racism.
Literally, no one is at more risk for violence
and a host of systemic oppressions, including HIV.
And rates are on the rise for trans men, too.
But with early detection and effective treatment, HIV is manageable.
I've been paused for years and I'm healthier than ever. And it's because I take care of myself.
If you're negative, look into PrEP.
1 pill a day reduces risk of contracting HIV by 92%.
Wow.
So have your sex.
Trans people are hot.
Yes, they are.
But be smart.
Hey, boo.
Can you imagine how scary it is for a trans person to go to the hospital?
Is there a box other than man or woman?
I scratch out male and female and write in trans.
Trans people face a host of specific issues.
As well as ones that don't require talking about our genitals.
Yes, I'm certain that I'm not pregnant.
And not for lack of trying, honey.
So what does my broken toe have to do with my genitals?
Did you know that many trans people provide their own medical care?
We swap hormone regimens like... What do people swap these days?
YouTube videos, Vines, memes.
Yes, all of that.
Often, we're the ones telling the doctors what we need.
For real.
It's not up to you to decide what's medically appropriate.
And what may seem cosmetic to you is life-saving for me.
Besides, I don't come between you and your doctor.
Seriously, don't come for me and mine. He's fine. Back off.
Are you a doctor?
Or a nurse?
Or do you ever talk to one? Ask them if they feel competent providing care for trans people.
Sure, they'll wonder why you're asking.
But won't that make you seem interesting?